and I know, 50, the way you run, this cannot be all that you have. Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the, it was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot, you had to pick and choose things, like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so we couldn't.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2, season 2.
Or I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube. Well, we can subscribe and get it. I love it. And you know, with everything that was out and all of these people that were coming forward, have there been any like new tips that you've gotten since it has been released?
Well, yeah, everyone starts to feel a little more comfortable when they see other people telling their truth about it.
Yeah, so yeah.
Hip-hop was never supposed to look like this. It was born loud, angry, unfiltered, a culture built by people who had nothing to lose and everything to say. It didn't ask permission. It didn't polish its image. It spoke the truth, even when that truth made people uncomfortable. But somewhere along the way, the noise changed. The rebellion became respectable. The chaos became controlled. And the voices that once challenged power slowly stopped asking questions. For years, fans were told this was growth, evolution, maturity. But others noticed something darker. Because as hip-hop grew into a billion-dollar industry, a strange pattern emerged. The same names stayed on top. The same figures became untouchable. And the same stories, rumors, controversies, unanswered questions, never seemed to go anywhere. They didn't explode. They didn't resolve. They just vanished. And whenever people tried to dig deeper, the response was always the same: silence. At the center of that silence stood 3 towering figures: Jay-Z, Diddy, and 50 Cent. 3 men, 3 paths, 3 very different relationships with power. 50 Cent was never meant to survive the industry. He was too loud, too confrontational, too willing to burn bridges. From the beginning, he mocked the rules, challenged authority, and exposed tensions others pretended didn't exist. Jay-Z played a different game. He didn't shout, he didn't rush, he didn't explain himself, he waited. Over time, Jay-Z stopped being viewed as just a rapper. He became something else: a symbol, a brand, a figure whose presence alone signaled legitimacy. He wasn't just successful, he was protected. And then there was Diddy, the man who understood something most artists didn't. Real power doesn't live on stage. It lives in rooms you're not invited to, behind velvet ropes, at private dinners, in conversations that never make headlines. Diddy wasn't just throwing parties. He was building alliances, connecting people who needed each other, deciding who belonged and who didn't. For years, fans believed the tension between these men was simple rivalry, ego, competition. But rivalry doesn't explain patterns, because rivalry doesn't erase careers quietly. Rivalry doesn't make rumors disappear. Rivalry doesn't protect reputations with...
And I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence. Now no one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, Beyonce, all of them were Diddy's handlers. After watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
Surgical precision. Power does. As time passed, people started asking questions they once avoided. Why did certain artists suddenly lose momentum after refusing deals? Why did some voices never get mainstream support, despite undeniable talent? Why did criticism bounce off some figures, while destroying others? And why did the industry seem terrified of uncomfortable conversations? This is where the theories begin. Not accusations, not verdicts, but observations. That hip-hop's success story might be incomplete, that behind the image of freedom and expression, there may be a structure designed to manage risk, not amplify truth. And if that's the case, then the most dangerous thing in hip-hop was never failure. It was independence. Because independence can't be controlled, it can't be redirected, and it can't be silenced easily. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. The silence wasn't accidental, it was built. And in the next part, we have to ask the question no one wants to answer. Who benefits when silence becomes the rule? Power doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't kick down doors or announce itself with sirens. Real power moves quietly, smoothly, invisibly, and in hip-hop, no transformation illustrates that better than Jay-Z's. There was a time when Jay-Z was respected but questioned. He was undeniably talented, undeniably successful, but not universally embraced. His past followed him, rumors lingered. His image carried sharp edges that made corporations nervous and critics cautious. Then something changed, not overnight, not with one album or one deal. But gradually, almost surgically, Jay-Z's image began to evolve. The controversy softened, the questions lost urgency, the criticism stopped sticking, and in its place emerged something far more powerful than fame: legitimacy. Jay-Z stopped being treated like an artist and started being treated like an authority. The turning point, many observers believe, wasn't musical, it was symbolic: his marriage to Beyoncé. Together, they didn't just dominate charts, they dominated perception. They became the definition of modern excellence: wealth with grace, influence with polish, power without visible scandal. The theory presented in the documentary doesn't question love, it questions effect. Because after the union, the narrative shifted dramatically. Jay-Z was no longer framed as a controversial figure who rose from chaos. He was reframed as a businessman, a family man, a cultural pillar. And once that image solidified, it became untouchable. Criticism felt inappropriate, speculation felt disrespectful, questions felt like betrayal. That's the power of a perfect image. It doesn't silence people directly, it makes them silence themselves. Meanwhile, behind that public perfection, another form of power was operating just as effectively: Diddy. Unlike Jay-Z, Diddy never needed to look flawless. His strength was proximity, access, connection. He existed where deals happened before they were announced, where alliances were formed before the public knew they existed. Diddy didn't just attend events, he curated rooms. And in an industry built on relationships, rooms matter more than talent. According to insiders and cultural commentators featured in the documentary, careers weren't always destroyed through conflict. That would leave evidence. That would attract attention. Instead, careers were stalled. Phone calls stopped being returned. Meetings stopped happening. Momentum quietly disappeared. No headlines, no scandals, just silence. And silence is efficient. This is where the theory becomes darker. What if hip-hop wasn't being censored, but filtered? What if rebellion was allowed, but only when it didn't threaten the structure? What if success depended not just on talent, but on being predictable? This reframes the idea of selling out. Maybe it was never about money. Maybe it was about alignment. And then there's 50 Cent, standing in sharp contrast to all of it. He never chased perfection, never refined his image, never tried to become respectable. He stayed loud, chaotic, unpredictable. And that unpredictability may have been his armor, because systems thrive on control, and control requires predictability. 50 Cent didn't fit neatly into any box. He mocked the system openly, laughed at alliances, and exposed contradictions without fear of consequences. And somehow, he survived. Which raises another uncomfortable question. What if the most dangerous...
I advise Beyonce to divorce Jay-Z as soon as possible because I'm ready to shoot a documentary about Jay-Z, and I guarantee it will outgross Diddy's documentary. If Beyonce sends me a legal letter on behalf of Jay-Z, I remind her to stay quiet. This is a dispute between men, and she has no right to interfere. I have to let everyone see the true face of Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Diddy have been longtime friends, and their business dealings never stopped. He frequently attends Diddy's parties, so why do people think he's innocent? Jay-Z and Diddy got involved in the same case in 2024, where a victim claimed she was assaulted by both Jay-Z and Diddy. I remember Jay-Z saying these were all rumors and that he was defending Diddy. But ironically, Diddy got arrested in 2025, and there's enough evidence to count his crimes on one hand. I've known them for 20 years, and I know how many bad things they've done behind the scenes. After Jay-Z founded his company, he repeatedly got into copyright disputes. In 1999, he was convicted of third-degree assault and served time in prison. He was unfaithful to Beyonce, and he was caught by Beyonce's sister. I think everyone has seen the footage of him getting beaten up in the elevator. I've already gathered the evidence, and I'm going to give Jay-Z a surprise.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
To us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's a billionaire brunch. You're like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year.
Thing in hip-hop isn't controversy, but transparency. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Perfection at this level is never accidental. It's constructed, maintained, protected. And the cleaner the image, the more carefully the narrative has been managed, which leads us to the final and most unsettling part of this story. Because when image fails, when silence cracks, what remains is the machine itself. At some point, this story stops being about individuals. It becomes about infrastructure, because no empire is built by one person alone. Behind hip-hop's biggest moments exists an invisible system. Executives, investors, media platforms, award committees, and corporate partners, quietly shaping what the culture sees and celebrates. This is what the documentary calls the machine. And the machine doesn't need loyalty.